Hello, Hockey World. That's not the beginning of the show, but I'm just saying hi
What do
because
you
I
think
wasn't here
we're running
yesterday,
out?
and I appreciate you guys filling in for me yesterday. I haven't been here since VC signs, so I'll
Yeah,
talk a little bit
we covered it.
briefly. I'm sure you covered it, but I'll just give my 2 seconds on it. It's not a big deal um, at all. But first thing we have to talk about is the fact that Russ and I are wearing contrasting USA hockey hats. So this is the this hat, if you can see it right on the side here of my head.
Yeah, I can't read the font.
Thing
It's
it
too
says
small.
it says this is
Ah.
the official World Cup of hockey hat, right?
Swag.
Yeah, that's my awesome ear. So yeah, so this is official swag. This I like it. I like it. It's cool. It's big. It's bold. You know, the only thing I don't like about I don't like hats. There are three different kinds of hats, right? There's like your standard hat that's just a hat that goes on your head. Then there's the hat that has like the clip things that clip together, you know, and that so you can resize. And then there's this hat, which is the one that slowly squeezes your skull till you feel like you're gonna die. Like the kind that has like I don't like these elastic hats. Like I mean I know it's big still and it's plenty big, but it doesn't mean it's not squeezing my head. Like I don't want to be constantly squeezed. That's my feeling.
Yeah, but you know,
Just for those of you who are curious, I don't want to be constantly squeezed.
I'm not going there. So
I don't, and I
particular hat is good if you sweat a lot because those are made for
breathability.
absorb the sweat.
is that why?
Yes.
I mean, it feels like it's just made to like so it fits everybody, but it just squeezes.
No. If you feel the material, it's
I'm crushing your skull. Yeah.
I have
the same
large.
material like that's on those, on the shirts that you exercise in, and
Yeah,
if you exercise.
that's true. I mean, it is a nice material. It's all my wife like doesn't like some baseball hats, and this got her approval, which is good. But you know, I can't help but think that I'm slowly being squeezed, and then as it goes along, it's like it goes, you know, like up my head because that's naturally what's going to happen due to the constant squeezing. So, as we've already determined, I have too large of a head anyway. I can't fit in any of these football helmets.
See, but I'm wearing the vintage USA hockey. This is like the new look. I don't know.
That's not. It's vintage for maybe like Jillian. It's not
I was gonna say it's vintage for me.
Yeah. What X should do, since it's a new hat and he's trying to look sort of street, he should tilt it a little to the side like those, like CC Sabathia. There you go.
Russ,
Like
can you put your hat a little closer? I just want to see the logo. I can't really see it.
Let's see, Russ, show us your logo.
I know. I'm not. I didn't want to comply, but that's fine.
It's a small
No,
logo.
it's not. I was gonna say it's not that retro.
Well, that's the
I feel like
classic
there's another
USA.
USA logo that's similar.
Yeah,
to
no.
that.
This
the
this
classic
only goes
USA
back to
hockey logo.
2009.
Okay, I was like, that doesn't seem very retro at all, actually.
No, it's not. I mean, the vintage one is the straight out, you know, like Team USA jersey, which is to me the one they won the Miracle on Ice is. That's the vintage hockey jersey.
Yes.
This is the USA jersey that came after that you have on your hat, which is fine. It's really cool. But I really never. I never was a big fan of it.
Before this that I just wore to death and had to get rid of it.
I'm not a big fan of the USAA logo. Now this one actually. So the back of this hat, if I should take my hat off, but I look horrible. So this is your standard. This is actually the insignia on the jerseys, right?
Yeah.
So
I like the back. I do like that.
I like that crest a lot. I really like that crest.
Me too.
this is when I look way too cool for my own good. Now I just can't.
I can't even handle it.
I know.
Yeah, now you look like Tony Hawk's
If there weren't any women on the show, I would do that today. But
you look like Tony Hawk's loser brother. That's who you look like.
like the brother's making all the money from like managing him or something like that. Like the brother's taking he was getting all the deals and then managing him and like working on like I got a new deal with Sega for the next Tony Hawk video game. That kind of guy.
Yes.
All right. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the USA jerseys from Miracle on Ice. Like I remember what they look like, but I had to actually go and look at them. And I would be fine if those were the jerseys today too. Like they're not. I mean, I guess when you think about like a USA, like your country's jersey, there's not really too much craziness going on with it anyway.
Right.
So.
No, I mean, Team USA has had, their hockey jerseys. I was doing a history. This actually is fascinating, so we can do this for a second. But it is hockey related too, and it is August 23rd. So, yes, the images of hockey jerseys. So I'm just going to bring up Reddit, Google, whatever. I know we've already determined, right, that I use Yahoo as a search engine. Okay, so I know Jillian thinks this is crazy, but I do sometimes.
I don't even understand that concept.
I know it's because of Puck Daddy.
I was just gonna say it was an homage to Greg Wyshynski.
I'm a huge fan of Greg's and Puck Daddies, and that has made me a Yahoo reader. So just so you should know this.
Now you're a Verizon reader, so okay.
Right. Okay, so here's my Yahoo. Here's my jersey. So basically, here's your upper right here. You can see this is the New Jersey, right? That's the New Jersey. No.
I am not paying $1,200 for a Miracle on Ice jersey.
Right. This is right. Yeah. This is the cheap version of the new. This is the actual vintage one, but that's the wrong color, right? So. And then let's see. There's a lot of these, obviously. There's Russ's right there. Okay.
See, and I like that one a lot, actually. I mean, I actually like all of them. That's like the one thing I'm like, you could have used any of these, and I'd have been satisfied.
Yeah. This is all right. I didn't like it when it first came out because I was so used to this thing, like I really just didn't like the. To me, like the other one.
I actually almost don't like the big crest as much as the other ones. Like if I had to say one thing is like the crest is just too big. It's just too much of like. If you think about a crest, usually they're supposed to be smaller, just have USA written.
So you like the new emblem because it's very soccerish, and
I literally was just criticizing it. I said it's too big. Like I like a crest.
Oh,
the plain crest one like this. Isn't this the 2010 jersey?
Which one?
So this one here, this one.
No, that wasn't 2010.
I don't remember the year.
That was Sochi. That was 2014.
Oh, that was Sochi. Okay. All right, so.
2010, didn't they?
I don't like that one with the stuff at the bottom.
Oh, the crazy. That never existed. I don't know what that's.
That's too much. That's just too much.
That should never.
2010, didn't they go back? Didn't they use the 80 jersey as a throwback? Didn't they mix that in?
What they did was this. They did kind of, but what they did was this one. Okay, this was they did this thing. Okay, so. Yeah. Which was like a version of the throwback, but it wasn't really the throwback.
Yeah, but I like having the little crest at the top. Like, see, I'm fine with the crest, but when you do like a big crest, it's just I think it is too much, and it takes away from it.
Right, I'm with you on that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2010 one was weird, though, wasn't it? I remember this one. I don't know when this was, but I do remember this.
That's awful.
That's not right. I don't like it.
GameWornAuctions.net, so it must have been a Game Worn jersey.
That bottom is just wrong.
Oh, wow, this is Sean McEachran's 1996 jersey.
I like the navy blue better than the royal blue, too.
Oh, yeah. Royal blue is not, well, I guess.
It works in sometimes, but I like the navy better. I think it looks sharper.
Our flag is definitely royal blue, right? So, I don't know. So anyway, that's your little history trip down history lane. I'm trying to find the 2010. I thought this was it right here, man. Isn't this it?
Let's just Google it.
I'm pretty sure.
2010 USA.
I was there. I mean, I was
falling in the rabbit hole there, Rick.
Maybe I have fallen in the rabbit hole. Sorry, I'm somewhere.
This is what it says that the first image that came up when I said 2010 USA hockey jersey.
Yeah, that does look familiar. I think.
Team USA IHF 2010 Swift replica.
Yeah. Anyway, there you have it. So we'll stop that. But I just thought it was it is now just to be fair, because I am wearing, not only am I wearing my USA hockey jersey, I'm wearing my New Jersey Turnpike shirt.
I like that.
Nice. The reason I got this is a funny story. I was this past weekend driving to the shore for a brief moment because my daughter has high school soccer, which requires her to be there 23 out of 24 hours a day. So I was doing my best to get down there, and I got down to the shore. I'm driving down. We were all really thirsty. I picked her up. She was exhausted. On Mendez at Hershey Park in the middle of it all. So everything was crazy. So we're on the way down, and we couldn't get it. We stop at one of these rest stops on the New Jersey Turnpike, and it's just totally packed. Like it's like the Herbert Morgan or whatever, one of these crazy rest stops on the New Jersey Turnpike. They're all named. They're all like it's
Molly Pitcher. Yeah, there's
Molly Pitcher, right? Russell Knight, Russell Knight or whatever. These Bret Hart, famous New Jersey authors.
Howard Stern. Howard Stern's got a rest stop.
Does he really?
Yeah.
He does.
Oh, Lord.
I was going to say, if Russ didn't say he does, I would have been like, Mike, you're lying.
No.
But it's not on the Jersey Turnpike, Mike. I think Stearns is on the Thruway or something.
Yeah, Christy Todd Whitman, when she was governor of New Jersey, named a rest stop for Howard Stern.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it might be on the Garden State or something. It's not on
I think it is. I think it's on the Garden State.
That's hilarious. So anyway, it was too crowded to get a drink. So the only place that was open was this place where you could buy a bottle of water and this shirt together. So I ended up with this.
Oh, that was a package deal.
It was a package deal, but it was quicker than it would, and otherwise we would have had no time to shirt at all. So I just said, okay, fine, I'll get you.
So did you get a bowl of soup with the hat?
I know. I feel like it. No. This. No, I do not. No, I got this from our old sponsor, IceJerseys.com, who used to sponsor Hockey Buzz quite a bit. Doesn't anymore. Thanks, guys. No, but he sent me anyway, that's where I got this hat. Let's start the show, should we?
Uh-oh.
It's probably Greg's fault. All right. Okay. Hello, Hockey World. It's Tuesday, August 23rd, 2016.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Jillian Fisher.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I'm Eklund, and Jillian's back. Yay! Woohoo!
Yay! I'm here. I was just around.
You
I
were
injured myself, and then I had already planned out a small, little mini ballpark tour. So that was
what I liked about you being away was I got to save cap space. So I put you on injured reserve for a while. And,
injured reserve, yep.
Yeah, so because I needed the cap space if we're gonna hire Greg when Yahoo closes. So I needed to figure out what I was going to do. So, but no, for now. No, but I'm glad you're back. You're off the injured list.
I'm off the IR. I'm off the IR for now. For now, until I injure myself again, because it's gonna happen.
She was in the hyperbaric chamber for a week. There you go.
I'm actually surprised that I haven't hurt myself yet. That's like I've been doing this.
My daughter's name
early in the show.
My daughter's name is Quinn, right? And her when we have this thing called the Quinjury, which happens all the time. Okay, she is literally as a soccer goalie like yourself. You and her probably share a lot in common. Soccer goalies are very, very good at getting hurt, not just while playing soccer, but in everything else they do.
In everything, literally everything.
We have a new that we added, which is something that happens just bizarre, where she could have gotten hurt, but she doesn't get hurt, called the Quincident. And we had one of those this weekend, which is really, it's hard to say coincident versus coincident, but coincident is when she just fell into the pool by accident, and she was fine, but she was just standing by the side of the pool and slipped and fell into the pool, but was perfectly fine. So if she's fine, it's a coincident. If she's hurt, it's a quinjury.
Hey, I went down a water slide. I could have gotten hurt from that, but I didn't.
Water slides are usually no fun for me.
Water slides are no fun, But what are you going to do? Well, the Second Amendment people could do something, but I don't know.
Well, I was with a bunch of people and family members, and a lot of them were kids, and they're like, "Are you going to go on the water slide?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go on the water slide," and I didn't do it, and then they're like, "Well, are you going to do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to do it," and I did it. That's all.
I mean, I know this isn't the pre-show, but I got to mention something, Russ, because this is too funny. We'll get into the show, Mike. You won't have to edit it out. So, Russ, you and I, Mike might know. Jillian would not have any idea. This place I don't think exists anymore, or if it does, it shouldn't. But Action Park.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Is that in New Jersey?
Yes.
I know of it. I do. I think from a YouTube video that Jonathan had showed me at one point.
That's where people went to get some action.
No,
it's very, very injured.
No, it's known as the most I mean, we had it's very sad things happen at amusement parks, but this is this place was made for it. This place was the most dangerous park in the world, and I spent a lot of time there as a kid because my parents didn't care about me, and. Well, we go there, and it would be one of the things they had that was really crazy was they had this wooden sled that went down this paved trail that looked like picture like a log flume built into a mountain. Okay, so it's a paved trail, but you're on a wooden sled. Okay, and you're going down it, and the only brake you have, I mean, you have no way of decelerating. The only brake you have is a wooden bar that you push down as hard as you can to go into the pavement. All right, and that would just shoot up. That had metal spikes on the end of it. That would shoot up sparks in every direction when you hit the pavement. And literally you would go. It must have been 70 or 80 miles an hour on this thing, and so many people just ended up, in the hospital from it. And it existed for years. I mean, it was. So I was hoping, being the New Jerseyite you are, Russ, or now you are, but then you weren't, I guess. So. Yeah,
I went to Palisades back in the day when that was open, and that was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That's an older one. But I will tell you what that reminds me of. I did a tryout fooling around with the U.S. Luge team, right? So it was on Long Island.
Oh, awesome.
And basically it was on a surface that had about a 30 to 40 degree slope, and they had basically what you would look at as their luge, but with wheels, right? And they're like, hey, we'll give you the fastest one so you get the experience of really being on a luge. And I'm like, okay. And so I go on it, and I have pictures, and I go down it, and it's literally going 30, 40 miles an hour. and the only way you stop is just by literally putting your feet down. And then there's like a hay bale just in case. And so I did a perfectly good run. My heart was beating. I stopped. They're like, oh, my God, that was really fast. That was great. You want to do it again? And I'm like, no. So, like, I'm that guy that just literally goes once. Like, I did the water slide. I did it once. Nowadays, if I do it once and I don't get hurt and I don't die, I don't do it again.
It's a bonus. It's a bonus.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I follow Russ's philosophy minus the one try. I don't want to do it at all.
So this is funny because now maybe it was my youth, but now I am terrified and will not go on a roller coaster or anything like that.
I have a problem.
I go on them still, but not often.
I have a problem with heights, which eliminates the Ferris wheel and roller coasters for me. I went up on the CN Tower. I went on the CN Ferris wheels. Yeah, I went on the CN Tower once in 8th grade and have never gone up there once. Never gone up there again.
I mean, did it get stuck? Did a girl? Wait, I know what happened. You try your advances with a woman and you got turned down on the Ferris wheel.
No, I don't work at Fox News, Russ.
I have a really. Oh man, this is just another rat hole. All right, I'm not gonna tell the story. Anyway, I got stuck on the top of a Ferris wheel one time. Like you're supposed to get stuck up there with like a hot girl or whatever, and it's going to be the greatest time of your life. I got stuck up there with the substitute algebra teacher, the 11th grade substitute algebra teacher.
Oh
For about 30 minutes, just me and her with nothing to talk about.
The glasses are sexy. No, just kidding.
Yeah. You know,
hey.
Like, so what about that Pythagorean theorem? Anyway, all right, so.
So I had a question for, I guess I saw, Mike, that you said that the Sabres were doing away with actually paper tickets.
Yeah.
Because I just did, like I said, the little mini ballpark tour. So it was 5 games. Yeah, 5 games. And I did all my tickets on my phone, and it was amazing. But people were looking at me like I had 6 heads, like around me.
Yeah. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not somebody who just, doesn't.
Oh, I don't know. I would call yourself a partial Luddite, Mike. I don't think you should.
But
you at least have Luddite leanings. Let's say that.
Thank you. I'm a quasi.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's like one of the benefits of being a season ticket holder is getting the physical tickets, is getting the artist, I know the Sabres, and I split the tickets with a number of friends. But they're nice artistic, nice photos. They're a decent cardboard. Like something. If it's a game that you.
These are ones I saved from like the '86 championship series for the Mets, the NLCS, and you get ones from Stanley Cups that are really nice, and now you don't get them.
Yeah, I have to agree with that too. I mean, and that maybe like the next generation, like after me, might not feel the same way, but I don't know. There's something about paper tickets at a certain point. Like when I was a season ticket holder, I loved getting the actual paper tickets. Like I'm surprised they don't give an option, even if it costs a little extra for you to get.
Yeah, I would pay more for sure. Remember were you those Flyers tickets?
Flyers, yeah, it was for a
They
while.
were awesome, weren't they? I mean, you get the whole you get the big sheet. You gotta break up, and you would look to see what player was on the game.
Oh yeah, always want to see what player and.
Because my birthday was usually the same day every year, and I would go. Well, it actually always has been, but I would go to my birthday. I mean, I meant to say that the Flyers would play around my birthday. My birthday is the same every year.
But now, what is apparently going to happen is season ticket holders will get a season ticket card, like a credit card.
That's how I know the Islanders do it.
Right, and then there's an option because I talked to somebody at the Sabres this morning, and they say 90% of the season ticket holders split the tickets with other people, so you can send the tickets to other people via a PDF file,
right? Which we
and forward it to them, or they download the Sabres or their app, they can have the ticket like you were saying, Jillian, on their phone. But there's just something I don't know. There's just something impersonal about that. It's just it's a printed out piece of paper for your ticket, and I just don't like that.
And I think for some games, like for the bulk of the games, I think I'm fine with that. I really am. But there's certain games I think I'd want that ticket for. I know the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series, it's all hard tickets. So, that's the only way they do it. But for playoffs and just there's some games where I think you'd want to keep that. Like if I was to travel somewhere, which I do a lot, and I go to a game, I like to keep that ticket. I like to have that memento.
Yeah, when a stadium closes, they do nice ones. I have nice ones of the Vet. I have nice ones of Shea Stadium. I mean, the thing is, what really has happened here is there's companies that make money selling the tickets to the teams, right? And they print them, and now teams don't have to pay that.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I need to request access to the doc. Anyway, just throwing that out there for those of you. I requested access. I think, Jill, do you control the doc?
I said I need to get access too.
Wow, something's going on with that. Russ, are you the gatekeeper of the doc?
I am the gatekeeper. I'm trying to get this right.
All right, that's fine.
Russ's middle name is Gozer.
Uh-oh,
Yes,
not lost you
we
guys.
have a doc that we work off of now. It's way more organized than we've ever been. And it's
Russ just hung himself
and
up.
Russ just hung out. There you go. This is a really finely oiled machine. This Buzzcast. There's no question about it. Russ, in trying to give us access, disconnected himself. All right, well, I got other stuff to talk about in the meantime. This may or may not have been on there, where you guys can throw up some topics into the thing. But
we'll talk about VC. You didn't.
I want to start. I'll give my 2 cents on VC. Yeah, and that really is all is 2 cents. To be honest, I'm surprised, of course, a little bit. Although we started to hear, and I do. This is just for those who like to who have dreams of becoming a rumor monger when they get older. This is something that you can think about here. A typical thing when we heard Neil Smith come out and say it was down to Boston and New York. Remember that?
Yeah.
And then they came out and immediately denied it. That was true. I found that out. And that's not. Of course, they denied it, and the reason they denied it was because they wanted to contact the teams. That the issue is when you're not. VC was trying to go about it contacting the team, saying that you're out of it. You don't get invited, so they wouldn't find out on social media. So that's why when it really did get down to 2 teams, they wanted that to be between themselves, and yet it did get out. So a lot of times, if it comes to somebody like Neil Smith, I kind of believed it at the time. I did. I mean, I heard it too, but my sources, I'm like, that source is okay, but not, Anyway, VC signing with the Rangers. I'll watch yesterday's show to find out Russ's opinion, but I think that it was really a little surprising. But I think at the end of the day, what we saw, here was him wanting to be part of New York City, like we talked about all the different things, I think he likes. And there's one other theory that I have, and I'm gonna throw that out there. I don't know if anybody has this theory or not. Okay, but this is my theory. Jimmy VC went to school for what? Do you know what his degree was in?
I don't know.
Nope.
Somebody was telling me it wasn't a degree kind of thing, which I think is probably accurate. Whatever it does, if it's from Harvard, it's probably it could be pre-law, it could be business, it could be a bunch of different things, right? So let's just assume it's business or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Ranger, that matters in the future. And it just occurred to me, okay, so he's a guy who, he thinks in these terms. He's a great player, but he's a short term. But he went and got his degree for a reason. He's thinking beyond his playing career.
Sure.
So if he's thinking beyond his playing career, if you go in and you're actually a New York Ranger, that's a big deal because where are most of the businesses in this country? There's a ton of opportunities for you now to step in to be like an accounts manager or whatever you want to be with some kind of major company or go into a firm that's a lot bigger if you were a Ranger than if you were a Sabre or if you were a Leaf, if you want to practice law in the United States, for example, whatever you want to do. There's a bunch of things, and that's the first thing that occurred to me with the Rangers. Russ, thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. You go think about guys that have marketed themselves after, and even Glenn Anderson markets himself more as a Ranger than he does an Edmonton Oiler, if you notice.
Yeah. And there's a reason for that, because there's so many more opportunities. These guys can public speakers. There's all different. And to me, VC made a choice based on, everything was basically the same.
Yep.
Sure, his friends there. But I think he went in Boston. There would have been opportunity. There's always, and in a way, there's already opportunities for him in Boston, right? Because he's already a Harvard guy. And now you open up New York. So, and I think VC is I think he's thinking bigger picture. I don't know if anybody's asking this question, but I think that's a question I'd like to ask him.
Well, his degree, I looked it up. It's not in finance or business. It was in government. So maybe he has a political career down the line.
Right. Well, that's an interesting one too, right? Government. No matter what your career is, no matter what your degree is, New York's going to have it.
Yeah,
right?
New York's not going to hurt you.
And being a Ranger is going to help you when you're talking to certain kinds of people in business, right? So
Yep.
I think that, and I can't help but think he went to school for 4 years. Maybe he's definitely the kind of guy who thinks beyond this career, and
I mean,
if he doesn't stay a Ranger, he's going to be a Ranger for a while. If he's a successful Ranger, that opens up all kinds of opportunities for you afterwards, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, and it's very possible that the post-career situation is what it was part of the thought process. But if you have to look at things, I mean, he's got a good friend in Kevin Hayes who's on the team.
yeah.
New York is probably the best place he could play that isn't Boston. You know, in terms of, you know, like you'd said many a time, Mac, like he didn't choose either one of his parents. He didn't stay in Boston. He didn't go to Toronto. He went up to a place that's close enough to Boston that he can get back for holidays, that his friends can come down, all those things. But it wasn't the pressure of being a Boston boy playing for the Bruins. It was playing in the big city and playing away from that. So, you know, you talked about that throughout. So it ended up that was the case.
I appreciate that. I think that, you know, he did show signs of that even when talking to people in Buffalo, you know, about that Buffalo is something he was thinking about because of that. And he is his own kid, and he's not young. I mean, he's not a young kid. He's you know, he's got that education. And now we need permission to see the JPEG that you've sent us.
Yeah, isn't that? Didn't you see me start laughing a little bit because I saw it?
That's so funny.
Try and share. See, this is what happens when you try and share.
We try to prepare and do something ahead of time.
With Gmail. Thanks, Gmail.
Let's throw some other things out there. First of all, Montreal. I want to talk about my rumor real quick with Montreal. This is big, okay? This is not a small rumor. This is not your everyday Montreal rumor either, because this person I'm talking to, very connected within the organization, and did something that I love, which is like one of my favorite things. Basically, didn't tell me what was going on, but told me how to look for it. And that means that usually means it's something real too. Like if someone tells me something that they can say something specific about, I'll take that in terms of, okay, you know, that's cool, that's specific. But when you start telling me something that just I can't even tell you something specific because it'll be linked back to me, so you got to go find yourself. But here's where to dig for the evidence. That's what I was told. So I was told the people to talk to, and I've been talking to those people. And there does seem to be something up with Montreal, and it may be with Calgary. I also just heard, since I posted that, Vancouver too. So there's, it seems like Western Canadian team dealing with Montreal. I believe I think it's for a defenseman, but I don't know. That's my.
Okay, let's extrapolate from that. If it's a defenseman,
right?
If it's Calgary, it's not going to be Giordano. It's not going to be Brody. It's probably not going to be Dougie Hamilton. It could be Dennis Weidman as a one year thing. You know, because he's a good offensive defenseman. I think Calgary would be interested in moving on from him after everything that happened last year. It's a short-term thing for Montreal. You know, maybe like an Andrei Markov would be part of that deal because Markov is aging and has, I think, around the same cap hit, so maybe it would be a beneficial bad deal for bad deal. If it's Vancouver, there's been so much talk about Alex Edler out there with Vancouver.
Okay.
And Edler, I mean, he's got years left on his contract, but I think with the direction of the franchise, this is the thing that's confusing. If it is Edler, it goes counter to everything that Vancouver has done over the summer because they're approaching the Vancouver is approaching the season as, let's compete for a playoff spot. Let's try to win the Stanley Cup. Let's sign Louis Eriksson. Let's add players. And trading a defenseman makes absolutely no sense. So, taking into consideration, I wouldn't doubt that Vancouver's doing that because I can't pin them down at all.
Yeah. Now, Russ, just to be clear, what you've sent us now is this. For those of you following at home, what I got was this. Now, when I tried to open it up, let me show you. Just this is too funny. Sorry, I have to.
I'm not bothering even looking at this.
This is Gmail.
I got this. Okay, so I got this. This is what I just opened up, which should be this is Russ on the luge. This is a photo of you luging. Anyway,
it's awful dark.
Which is pretty cool. Granted, you don't see anything at all.
No, I just see blackness.
Maybe you can't share pictures. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. It's okay. I got some ideas.
Try and click that.
I got that. Okay, cool. As I get right back to the luge picture, Russ. Right back to the luge picture. It's so funny. When I click that, That's what I see. All right, so this is nothing on Russ. This is all probably something I'm doing wrong. Let's talk a little bit about something else. How's that for a transition? All right.
Smooth segue there.
Thank you very much. Logan Couture has replaced Jamie Benn on the World Cup of Hockey Canadian team. They're already stacked, as I said. World Cup. I think it's funny. Canada can really lose Jamie Benn and not suffer much of a hiccup, even though Jamie Benn's a hell of a player.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's smart that Jamie Benn's not going to try to make this happen.
Well, we pretty much knew that this was going to happen when he announces he's going to have core muscle surgery. I think it was in July.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
The chances of him making a recovery, and remember, he had the surgery, and then like 5 hours later they announced the extension, and he's one of the highest paid players in the league. So honestly, I think that the commitment that he made to the Stars is more important than the World Cup for Jamie Benn.
Oh yeah, and I think that's something that should happen, Carey Price. But that's okay.
Well, since he's the 5th best player in the league according to the Hockey News.
Am I the only one that doesn't see Russ right now?
Gio?
I'm putting it on Twitter. Get off it.
Rush is dead to us now. No, I can see him.
Oh, I can't. I was gonna say I can't see him. It's just a black
screen. That's so
screen.
Funny. Wow.
Sorry, Russ.
That's an improved look.
Jamie Bennett. This is an example of a guy who is so cool to the media that the media likes him a little bit more than they should. But he is still awesome.
Oh, he is.
He's awesome, but at the same time, Jamie Benn is like, if you are like such a good person and stuff like that, like Jamie is, I think you'll rise, and when you're making these lists, you'll rise up a little bit. It's just human nature. Not to promote a jerk, but to promote a good person.
Yeah, I would agree.
So
I feel like that's normal.
Right, that's why Mike's still where he is. So. Anthropologically speaking, Jill, Mike
ran away. That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm having a little too much fun today. It's been a weekend. I've been trapped in all kinds of crazy meetings and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm just a little loopy. I have this question for Jill, who is our anthropologist.
Yes.
And not an anthropologist usually, but an anthropologist.
Yes.
So here's the thing. One of the most least controversial people and normal people you'll find in the world of hockey is former GM Doug MacLean, who is completely as stable and as they come. And he was on the air today. I think it was on the air today saying that someone sent me this. I don't know where it was said, but I thought, and I looked up. It's also on Reddit. He at one point, Doug MacLean drafted Gilbert Brulé over Andrei Kopitar. This was in 2005, right? Very controversial move at the time.
Talked about it many a time.
Though Brulé, is a guy who, people had high hopes on him. And I remember the Canadian fans wanted to draft Brulé over Carey Price. Mm-hmm. We'll never forget. That is actually the truth. And they were mad when they didn't draft Brulé. Brulé had almost no career in the NHL. Carey Price is one of the best players in the world. So here's what MacLean said, and I went as an anthropologist and also as a person who has spent a lot of time training for sports, Jill. Yeah. Here you go. MacLean's quote is, "I'm not drafting a kid who pushes rocks up a mountain or jumps over milk crates and calls it training." That was his quote. Because Kopitar, if you remember, Kopitar grew up in a very kind of like a really poorish area, and didn't have whatever. But this is the kind of training that he did. He was famous for this. He and other players, Yakupov too, I believe, did the same kind of training, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. But
that's an interesting quote. I mean, if you're finding a way to train and that's like a very ethnocentric thing to say, actually, like to think that your way of training is better than somebody else's.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I honestly think
it's an uninformed thing to say. That's what it really is, because. Like as an example, Walt Kachuk worked in the salt mines, right? That made him strong. You can't knock somebody's training methods.
No, I think, and you know what he's doing it. Given his resources, he's still doing it, and it worked, right? He made it that far. You're picking between him and somebody else, so.
I mean, anybody who knows Rocky knows that anybody who's watched the movie Rocky knows you need to chase a chicken around in order to get in shape. I mean, there's certain things that has to happen. Yeah,
that's an interesting thing too, because again, and also how you train is different. I mean, each person responds better to certain ways of training, and if you just look at the Olympic athletes that are just finished, everyone has a different way to train. They have something that they do better that they don't do as well as others. But oh my God, I can't believe that I disagree with that statement.
Yeah, no,
I think it's a very uninformed statement to say.
Well, I mean, I've heard Doug McClain talk about that draft pick. He's always said that that they liked Kopitar a lot, but that Brule had a phenomenal junior career, and he did, and they opted for Brule instead. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's not the first and won't be the last general manager who makes excuses for a pick.
No, for sure. But I just think that this one particularly is
it's
really...
funny. I remembered a couple of years ago looking back where I had Kopitar ranked, and I had him ranked somewhere between 8 and 10.
Okay.
And I didn't know a ton about him.
Yeah.
But there was enough known about him that he had size, he was going to be a scorer. And so, like, to me, that's just an uninformed opinion that McClain shot out there. It really is.
And the thing is like, it's not like this is some obscure person in the draft. Like you said, Russ, he was in the top 8 to 10. Like that's
people knew he was a great player.
At that point, how you're training really doesn't matter at that point, because if you found a way to make it work to make a name for yourself. So at that point,
if you want to get down to it, what matters is somebody played in Canadian juniors and someone played in the Czech league, and that.
I think, and that to me is what it comes down to, right? And that
yes.
Canadian juniors always will trump things, especially for old-time Canadians.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't, because
Oh, it shouldn't.
You can't. But it does also bring up something that I think, and longer Jill was a really big-time travel soccer player and stuff like that. It does bring up that thing too, that you run into these situations where you have players that you meet sometimes that are from not necessarily like the greatest programs in the world, but everybody thinks, oh, we've got to be on the greatest program in the world to be successful. Yep. And you don't.
Yep.
I mean, you've seen it plenty of times. I mean, you had to be part of FC Bucks or whatever. You had to be part of these teams.
Oh yes, 100%.
And you know this whole thing.
And they pressure you. You get so much pressure, and that's at girls soccer when you're 8 years old. That's ridiculous. So,
I know.
But Austin Matthews is a great example of somebody who shows that you don't have to. You don't have to be in traditional. That's a great example of somebody who shows that if you have the pure talent and you work at it in whatever way works for you in the situation that you're in, you can make it.
Oh yeah.
I just think it's one of those situations where GMs back then definitely thought much more of Canadian junior hockey than they did any other league. Period.
And we're only talking 2005 now. In 2005, did we have combines?
No.
See, that's the other thing, right? So you're not trying to tell how much in shape a guy is back then was a lot harder. Right now, he would be brought in and he would do the lifting
things. But he played in international tournaments. Like it's not like Kopitar, never left the house.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, this has changed a lot. But I mean, you should just admit the fact that I don't know, whatever. I'm not going to get into McLean bashing, but I'm just saying that it really does bother me. What bothered me the most about this was the psychological part of it all, where you have this whole concept of if you're not playing at a top place, you're not going to get noticed or recognized. And a lot of kids coming up in youth sports get this thrown at them too, and it's really and the parents end up spending thousands of dollars to take to get their kids into way more expensive programs or whatever, and some people just can't friggin' afford it. And that doesn't mean
Austin Matthews, his parents said there was a time where they couldn't read that story about him. I forget who wrote it. It was a really well done piece, but his parents literally couldn't afford to send him to one of these leagues or one of the programs. It was just too much money for them at the time, so he did something different, and that's okay. I mean, it doesn't have to be cookie cutter. Sometimes it's good to step outside the box because you produce something different. There's a reason sometimes you break the mold.
I think Mike Brophy wrote that.
That was such a well-written. I love that.
Yeah, it was a great article. I mean, and Austin Matthews is a great interviewer too. So he's one of those guys that's going to be wonderful in the NHL. I think he's still quiet-ish and shy-ish, but you can tell. Some people like Sidney Crosby when I first interviewed him was right away. He was solid.
Yes and no. I don't think he's shy. I think he's in being in media scrums with him at the development camp, he seems fairly comfortable in his own skin. I just think right now everything is new and he's just making sure he doesn't make any mistakes. But he's a sharp kid, really smart, and he's a pretty decent interview. But right now I think what he's just doing is just making sure he doesn't say anything stupid and just
testing the waters, learning your spot, like learning how to handle it. I think anytime you're in a new situation, it's best to. I mean, I always do that when I'm in a new situation. Sometimes you remain a little more quiet. You wait and see what other people are doing. It's just making sure that you're fitting in correctly and you're not pissing anybody off, for lack of a better word.
The method of a lot of young hockey players, though, when they're in this situation, is to get like kind of like goofy or self-deprecating about it. They tend to be, they'll make a joke about, those guys are really, I'm really, wow, look at these players are really fast. I'm just a kid trying to catch up, whatever, that kind of thing. And they'll tend to do that. Where Austin Matthews doesn't do that. Austin, like so far, I've interviewed him twice now, and he looks at you and he definitely measures his words before he speaks to you. When you're talking to him, he doesn't. It's how it's difficult sometimes to talk to people who don't emote back to you as you're asking him a question. You're looking at him, you're like trying to read off of cues about where to go with this, and he's very stone-faced when you interview him.
People have been reading him, interviewing him since he's 15, though.
Right, he's used to it. So, but he's not one to make really jokes yet. I mean, that'll come with time. That's where when I mean nervous, that's kind of what I mean by nervous. I mean like more like, he's a funny guy. I've talked to people. He's got a good sense of humor. He's a good. It doesn't really matter. He's a great hockey player. But I'm just saying that this is the way usually. This is not the normal reaction that you get from hockey players when they're young.
I just think in the crucible of Toronto media that it's better as an 18 now, pretty soon turning 19-year-old kid. You don't want to appear glib. You want to appear serious because you are the future of that franchise.
Especially there, yeah.
Especially there. So I think he's gonna operate basically on an even keel. He's gonna take things professionally, and I think eventually he'll loosen up. But I think that's the good approach for him. I mean, he is very important to that franchise. They've been waiting for a player of that ilk since Wendell Clark in 1985.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And I couldn't agree. And I think that's. I think he's doing. I mean, I have nothing wrong. I have nothing against him at all. I'm just simply saying that he's an interesting one. So,
but I mean, look at how we're talking about him. It shows that you don't have to go like the point you were bringing up, Ek, that you don't have to get. It doesn't matter the program. I mean, you have to do something, but it doesn't have to be the same thing that you're always used to. If you have that skill, you can find a way to harness it, and it doesn't have to be the same program that everybody else before you was in. And it's a shame that pressure gets put on not just soccer athletes, but it gets put on every elite who wants to be an NHL star.
Right. Any athlete who's looking to be elite, there's somebody out there trying to make money on that person, off that person, and make money off their parents. And you see it, with the training. And I always tell people when they come to me, and I've had people come to me about, since I coach a girls soccer, a 14-year-old girls soccer team now, people come to me all the time about that, or they come to me about hockey too, because people know that I work in hockey. I'm sure you get the same thing, Russ. Like, what do you do? How do I get my kid up? That kind of thing.
Yep.
And I always say the same thing. Programs are important. A good program will help you get recognized for sure, but it comes down to coaches. Like, if you find a good coach that works with your kid, and you just follow that coach. Like, that's how I think. I mean, I honestly feel like if you find the coach that really gets the most out of you, that can be in a bad situation or a good situation. If it's a good coach, that's the key, because that'll teach you. I mean, to me, that's a
big deal.
Coaching's everything, and chemistry with coaching is everything. In so many ways. A couple other quick fun things here. What do we have on Nikushkin, Mike?
Well, there are a couple reports coming out of Russia, so we can't attest to the complete validity to it. But Valery Nikushkin is, coming off his entry-level deal.
Yeah.
Did not have a good year last year, but he didn't get a lot of opportunity and was sat in some playoff games.
Yeah.
And there's been some indications of some rough patches between him and Lindy Ruff, and some of the reports coming out of Russia is that the talk between him and a KHL franchise in Chelyabinsk, Tractor, is picking up. And honestly, I mean, this is a kid with a lot of talent. He's a big kid with a lot of skill. And I think it's just one of these situations where, Lindy Ruff has never been the best coach when it comes to Russian players. He had some problems in Buffalo. And I think Nikushkin, if he gets traded to another organization in the NHL, would be a very effective forward, but he may go back to Russia. And if that happens, I think that the NHL loses out on a really good young player.
It's interesting. I would hesitate to think that this has much legs to it at this point. Just
I don't know about that. I mean,
really? All right.
It doesn't seem like he's going to have a fit with Lindy.
I know he's not happy in Buffalo, that's for sure. I mean, I've heard that for sure.
And they haven't traded him, So to me, this is problematic. It really is, and it's too bad because again, this kid can play. It's funny because I had a little that year because for the 2013 draft, at one point, the ISS had him ranked over Nathan McKinnon as the #1 pick, and I told him it was clickbait and stopped doing that, and then he got into a little war with me. And look, clearly he's not better than Nathan McKinnon, but he could be a really good NHL player, and I liked him because of his speed and his size, and he has shown that at times. The thing that's maddening is, and I'm sure it's maddening for them too, is when he plays with their better players on the first line, he seems great, right? Yeah. And it's for short stretches, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden they move him off the first line. Like, it's like, forget it.
Yeah.
And he is a guy that needs to play with the right talent.
It's a really good point. You know who he reminds me of is Keith Primo.
Yeah. I think he's faster than Primo, but he has a similar game.
It's a similar game, and it's, you know, and Primo was tricky as well sometimes to find the right spots for him, you know, and I know Primo was a center, but I think Nikushkin's mainly a wing, correct?
Yeah, he's a winger, yeah.
But, you know, he does that same, you know, he has that Primo move that I talked about before. That's definitely, you know, when you look at Nikushkin highlights, you'll see like 4 or 5 goals all scored the same way. Like, he loves to fly down the wing, loves to cut in. That's
power winger with big strides.
Power winger, and the only reason I say that I think that I don't see him going to the KHL would be that I think Jim Nill is such a good GM that he'll move him before that gets to that, or he'll figure out something along those lines. I would be surprised, you know. And Nikushkin to hit now, and I've defended Nikushkin as well, but to be honest, he has been hurt a ton, and it's not you know, he has not gotten in any rhythm, right? So.
Well, I don't think he's been hurt that much to take him out anymore. I mean,
well, he lost most of that second season with that hip injury, and you know, I mean, it really, because remember, he had a great rookie year, and then he got hurt early in his sophomore season, and he sat out most of the year with after having hip surgery. He came back last year, and like you said, Ak, it was sort of spotty, and it sort of reminds me of what happened with Drouin and Tampa Bay. And I'm not comparing the two because they're completely two different players, but Drouin played well with talent, but when he was being played on third and fourth lines, it was a waste of his talent. And you know, it just doesn't seem to be a good mix in Dallas with Nikushkin and Ruff. And like I said, Ruff had problems with guys like Maxim Afinogenov in Buffalo, where he just didn't seem to be able to find a spot for him. I don't know whether it's the Russian thing, the language barrier, or what, but it just didn't seem to work. And from a Dallas point of view, I would think that him going back to the KHL is the worst scenario, and you could, if you know and think that it's not going to work out in Dallas, I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would like to take a shot at a 21 or a 22-year-old big winger who can score.
Here's the thing: when you break it down, his first year he got 14 minutes and change on the ice. Last year he got 13 and a half minutes on the ice. He still had 9 goals and 29 points. He was a +2, so they couldn't say anything about his defense anymore. And the thing was, he had 1 power play assist and 1 power play goal. So out of those 13 minutes, how much power play time is this guy getting? That is part of his game, and you are basically not giving him a chance. You're just not giving him enough ice time. I mean, shots-wise, he had 139 shots. That's not enough.
I still think they should have traded him for Tyler Myers when they had the chance. That was a bit, and I heard that was a really big talk at the time. I just think that the fit-wise, Tyler Myers on Dallas would have looked pretty darn good.
And he had 68 hits. He had a few more giveaways and takeaways, 33 blocks. Like, he's trying to do other things, you know? And it's just he's not getting a chance. He's just not.
We didn't mention, by the way, that Logan Couture was the guy who replaced Jimmy Benn as well. I wanted to mention that, too. Someone texted me that. And just to tell you, he played in 79 games last year. Yeah, no, and he did. But, you know, you're right. He has not really found any kind of stability, which is hard for Russian players to not. Russian players are very much used to stable situations. That's what they like to be on a single line for the entire year type thing. That's the Russian thing that they do, right? So for him to be moved around all the time after coming off a year where he didn't play at all hardly because of injuries, that's not. It's tough. I mean, and then not play very often.
And he only had 12 PIMs in 79 games. That's a pretty smart player. I would trade for him tomorrow if they made him.
So would I, and I think somebody will. That's why I could see him completely working in New Jersey. I think that would be New Jersey should really make it. And you should look into this. And if they haven't already, they probably. I mean, I'm sure when this kind of stuff comes out, the first thing that's going to happen is Jim Nill's phone's going to go crazy because people are going to try to get him. So it's not like oh, we have 2 mics now. Weird.
It's a little scary because the one mic, he's just scowling.
But you know what I think happens? Like with clones, you know how they degradate like every clone. So this is like this new mic is not quite as sharp as the last mic. We'll find out.
That's true.
I still can't even see Ross. So.
All right.
What is wrong with you, Jillian?
So remember Logan Couture. Logan Couture has passed. Logan Couture has replaced Jamie Benn. I like Logan Couture a lot. I did have issues with him last year in the Stanley Cup Finals a little bit, but he came along towards the end. But I think he's good. He's a good fit, and similar kind of player. I don't know how much time he's going to see. I think that inevitably there's so many good players on that team. I think Logan's there in case somebody gets hurt. Basically, this does increase probably like the ice time for guys like Claude Giroux. Maybe I think this could really make Giroux a more important player for Team Canada. When you look down the depth charts,
it could.
I heard a couple people saying they thought maybe Corey Perry got snubbed on that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that, and you know what? Corey Perry's an interesting. I really like Corey Perry, but there are within the inside world of the hockey world, there is a strong anti-Corey Perry thing that goes on within some coaches, scouts, GMs, something like that. I don't know what it is, but Corey Perry has his detractors.
Well, could it be that the type of player that he is, when you try to submarine, I think he tried to submarine Austin Matthews in a World Championship game. You're a former Hart. He won the Hart Trophy, didn't he? You're award-winning, Stanley Cup winning winger, and you resort to that kind of cheap tactics. I don't think it really ingratiates you.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, Corey is. I'm not surprised that they didn't put him on this team. I've heard so many things about him. Going back, going back to like the who was it he used to play with? There was Getzlaff and Perry, and then who was the other guy?
Bobby Ryan.
No. Before that,
Kunitz.
Nope. Penner, Dustin Penner, right? All right, so going back to Dustin Penner days. Anyway, so a couple little fun things here to discuss. Can you see my video? Am my video okay?
Yeah, no, you're good now.
Yes. All right.
Let me just bring up something because I mentioned that tryout contracts are going to be hot and heavy over the next couple weeks, and Brandon Prust was given a tryout invite by the Maple Leafs. 32 years old, prominent with the Rangers and Montreal over the last 5 or 6 years, but then went to Vancouver and played like 35 games. He's definitely lost a step, and he got sent down to the AHL, waived and sent to the AHL.
Right.
I'm getting the feeling this is sort of like a final kick at the can. His agent is Claude Lemieux, former Devil, and he played for Mark Hunter in London back early part of the century. So I think they're giving him the benefit of the doubt and giving him a chance to earn a pro contract. But the Leafs only have 2 pro contracts left under the 50 pro contract limit. So he's going to really have to stand on his head to make the Leafs.
A, he can't skate anymore. B, basically the only thing he does now is take out the opposing goalie, trips him up. I mean, other than that, I don't see much use for him anymore.
C, he can't stand on his head. So there's some other things there. I think that I mean, it's an interesting. All he does bring character, I guess.
Sure, if you want character in the room, that's great. But when he's on the ice, he just
he's really. I mean,
skater anymore. He was a good skater at one time, but the league has passed him by that way.
He really has. I mean, he was kind of your epitome of like a rough guy who could also skate, but now he's sort of fallen away to a degree.
And if there's anything left in the tank with him, I mean, and I was telling Russ this before, at the end of the season last season, Mike Babcock came out and said the one thing that he wanted to improve with the Leafs was them being a team that would be tougher to play against and a team that could protect their younger players because a lot of their skill players were run over by the opposition. So they signed Matt Martin as a UFA, but I think they probably need more muscle on that team, and they want to keep a balance between rookies and veterans. So you could give Prust, if he has anything left, a chance to make their fourth line and be a sort of protector on that team.
All right. So over the weekend, back in Russia, rumors have surfaced that Alexandra Ovechkin has betrothed Natasha Hubskaya. I think I say that properly. And the reason and although it was done very secretly, the reason it is here you go. Here's an Instagram picture that she put up, okay, on Natasha's Instagram 3 days ago with just the caption of 3 hearts, and that's it, right? So this, of course, led the Russian media. I have to say that Natasha has phenomenal eyes. Really pretty.
I'm seeing nothing.
No, you're not seeing anything at all. Come on.
Very, very black eyes. Yes.
Nothing.
Nothing. To me, it didn't even look like smoky eyes. It's just totally black.
Well, I'm hoping that I'm seeing it on mine, and mine's the feed. So hopefully you're seeing it out there, guys. Anyway,
I literally see nothing but black squares on now. I literally see nobody.
Oh wow, everything's going crazy.
Kaya definitely likes her eyes.
I'm just telling you that she's obviously a beautiful woman, but I'll send you the link, guys. You can see it. But she's maybe that'll work for you. I don't know. But anyway, they're both dressed in white, which also led to this conclusion.
This picture is not on his official Instagram account. That bothers me, Alex. I follow you on Instagram so I can see things like this.
Right.
Don't put things like this on Instagram. I'm gonna unfollow you, Alex.
Yeah, I mean,
like
maybe
how you call him by his first name, like your dad yelling at him.
I like it. Yeah. So as I see it, they were all wearing white. So either they got married, or
I can't see anything.
They can see it out there, though.
No, they can't.
It's in your mind. You could see it. You're it.
There you go. Now we can see you.
Anyway, trust me.
I see X now. That's all. That's about it.
It's working fine on the feed, I think. So the idea here is I was gonna say either they went to a wedding or they had their family do that stupid thing where everyone's got to get white. You got to wear white. You got to take a picture. Can't stand that. I've had to do that a couple times now. It's the worst thing in the world. So that's my theory on this whole thing, and that's not a funny joke at this point because it went too far. In Minnesota, they've changed their goal song. Anybody know what they've changed their goal song to?
Prince.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Ladies and gentlemen, let me.
They did a poll for ticket holders, I thought. For season
very cool.
What they do? Let's get crazy. Let's get nuts.
Yep.
Makes
Dearly
sense.
beloved, welcome to this thing called ice. No, yeah. So there's definitely
Good choice.
Yeah, great choice, great song. Obviously, Prince is so connected with that area, and I think it's great. I think the Wild are really, and the one thing about the Wild you will say is they are Minnesotan to the core. Like everything they do is Minnesota. Like, and you spent time out there, Jill, too, with the Wild.
I did, yes.
And you can vouch for this. It's just like it's crazy out there. They really, I mean, not only do players, they bring in players from Minnesota. Now they have their goal song from Minnesotans. This is really the one thing that I think they did wrong. And I'll always say this is they picked a really weird mascot and logo. They think they had to go for the North Stars. They couldn't get the North Stars obviously, but I talked to somebody from Minnesota, a good friend of mine now, and he's like, yeah, what is a Wild really? It's like hard for the kids to like the older people there still call themselves North Stars fans, a lot of them. So did you run into that, Jill?
I mean, I ran into a lot of people who had more North Stars gear than Wild gear,
yeah,
for sure. But I mean, for the most part, it seemed like. It's not that they didn't. Their NHL team, they love their NHL team, and they love, like, if it went away again, they'd be very, very upset. But college hockey, high school, there's so much hockey there that the Wild are just not an afterthought, but they were like, we'll look at any other like traditional, like Toronto, for example. Yeah. The Maple Leafs that's it. That is it for everybody. You're a Maple Leafs fan. That's your number one, and then you can have secondary. But there, it's almost like you can be the same level with your college team and the Wild. Like it can be on the same level of passion. And but I found mostly that there was more North Stars gear than you would see Wild gear. But
totally.
Yeah.
And I think
the reality is they were like 12th worst in the league in goals, so you're only going to hear that song like 213 times. That's it.
Oh yeah.
They're very proud of things from Minnesota. They're very proud of Minnesota, and like when they can get.
But I think Prince deserves more airtime. Is what I'm.
They better hope Jason Zucker stays healthy.
Right.
Maybe this will. And also speaking of Wild players, Mikko Koivu has been named the captain of Team Finland.
Mm-hmm.
Along those lines, and I don't know if you guys talked about that yesterday or not.
We just mentioned it. That's it.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, I'll just mention it today. I think it's a good thing, and Miko is definitely one of the more respected Finns, and this is not surprising at all. And no, it's good stuff. And that is pretty much the show for today, folks. We really appreciate you guys. One thing I wanted to talk about before we leave a little bit is Patreon, because we have Patreon going on right now. And as usual, if you go to patreon.com/hockey, you can subscribe, and as like 32 of you I think have done at this point, or somewhere in that number range, and we really appreciate it. It's just a way of Patreon. The way Patreon works, it's a way for independent content creators to get some help, and to help, so that we can, keep doing stuff. I mean, there's no advertising on HockeyBuzzCast, as you've seen. We're just doing this. We just do the show because we love doing it, and we really want to keep doing it as part of our day. And this helps. Patreon helps. So if you go to patreon.com/hockey, and even if you do like $5 a month or $1 a month, or if you could just do one time of $1 or whatever it is, that would be wonderful. And if you can't subscribe, we understand. It's not like we're threatening to take the show off the air at this point. Although you never know what can happen. I'm just kidding. No, we're not. But the other thing is, like, more and more of you are watching the show every day, which we really appreciate. Where our views are now like 1,500 views roughly per show, which is great, and that's continuing. That's continuing to grow. And so if you can't give anything, just help us out by like telling your friends, subscribing, and stuff like that, because we like to do the show all year long.
Opening up like 6 or 7 computers in your house so we get
just starting it. Yeah, paying for illegal views. Feel free to do that as well. Anything you want to do to increase our viewership. But that is all the time we have. And so we appreciate it. Just go to patreon.com/hockey, and we will in your debt. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you tomorrow.